All right, today we're looking at solving proportions. So, what's a proportion? That's a proportion because it's two fractions that are equal to each other. Technically, it's two ratios that are equal to each other. And instead of starting with notes on how to solve this, we're just going to look at this one because I think you guys can look at this and figure out what x is equal to. And you could probably figure out why this right now is a pretty easy problem. So what's x? X is 3. What happens if we change a little bit? X is still 3. And how about now? Still 3. That's right. Now, watch out for this next one. Don't answer it too quickly, but I think it's still going to be an easier one. So now x is 32. So why are these easy? Well, the bottoms are the same. As long as the bottoms are the same, x is whatever the top is. How can we prove it? What if we multiply both sides by 185? That's the opposite of the x divided by 185. So that'll get rid of the 185s. So we can cross those out. Although, I don't know, look at that. That cross out looks a little weak. There, that's better. All right, so we've proven that it works. Now we can take a look at our notes. So, solving proportions. First step, you're going to multiply one or both sides so that the denominators or the bottoms are the same. Second step, you just write the equation from the numerators on the top and just solve it. So, here's our first problem. What are we going to do here? So we need to multiply one or both sides to get the denominators the same. Now, when we actually multiply, there are rules. We're allowed to multiply by 1 or anything equal to 1. So if we notice that we've got 10 and 2 on the bottom, and if I go 2 times 5, I'll get 10, then our denominators will be the same. So let's go ahead and multiply that right side by 5 over 5. So now when we simplify this down, we get 10s on the bottom of both fractions. So that's step one. We got to get the bottoms the same. And now that the bottoms are the same, we can just write what you see on the top. And there you go. There's your answer to this problem. So this time, I'm not going to put as much thought into getting the denominators the same. I'm just going to look at what I have on the bottom. I got a 10, I got a 2, and I know that if I multiply the left by the 2 and the right by the 10, then the bottoms will be the same. So here we go. We multiply the left by 2 over 2, and then we multiply the right by 10 over 10. So why do we do this? Because when you look at the bottom now, you've got 2 times 10 on both sides. And now I can just simplify the tops, and I've got 2x equals 70. Notice this time I didn't rewrite it as 2x over 20 equals 70 over 20. Look, if you know your bottoms are the same, you don't have to just rewrite it. You can just write the equation on top. So some of you may have been taught this before, how to solve these proportions, and you might have been taught to cross multiply, which I hate, by the way. But if you look at this problem now, you can see that if you cross multiply diagonally the 2 times the x, the 10 times the 7, there's your cross multiplication answer. Because obviously it works. It's been taught for decades. But all I want you to do is write the 2 over 2 on the left, the 10 over 10 on the right. Because when we get into more advanced problems, that's going to help you out, and you won't make mistakes because somebody decided to teach you how to cross multiply. All right, so now we just got one more step. Just divide both sides by 2, and you get your answer, 35. All right, so this problem, when you look at the bottom, one side's got an x, one side's got an 18. If you just look at the bottoms, there's no real shortcut here. You're just going to need to multiply the left side by the 18, or technically 18 over 18, and the right side by x, or x over x. So we'll go ahead and do that, and our bottoms are the same, so now we can just multiply the tops, and yeah, I'll probably pull out the calculator for that one. 18 times 4, so we've got 72 equals 12x. Now you just go ahead and divide both sides by 12, and it takes us right to our answer, which is x equals 6, or 6 equals x, either way, I don't really care. I know I told you on the last problem, well, same problem, first time through, I told you there's no shortcut. I kind of clarified it though. No shortcut if you just look at the bottoms. There is a real good shortcut here. And when you see these types of shortcuts and you take them, it makes the problem a lot easier to solve. I will not need a calculator on this one. So take a look. Do you see how we're going to simplify that fraction on the right side? Yep, that's right. We're going to divide the top and the bottom of that by 6. That gives us 2/3. And now the problem becomes a lot easier. Now we're looking at the bottom, and we need a 3 over 3 on the left. We need an x over x on the right. So now the bottoms are the same, and we can just write what we have at the top. So we got 3 times 4, we got 12 equals 2x. And then we just got one simple step from there, divide both sides by 2. And again, we get x equals 6 because it's the same problem. We just solved it in a little better way. All right. You know what? Before we go any further in this, I feel the need to show you guys some behind the scenes, let's just call them frustrations. So I've got this thing, and apparently this thing is called an eraser. Let's see what it does. Now I've got to bring in some rubbing alcohol. This works really good at the start. Just watch. Now the camera starts getting frustrated. It can't even focus anymore. So, just a behind the scenes disaster going on. Alright, so this problem, this time the variable on the bottom is not by itself. It's actually got x plus 3 on the bottom. But before we get started, let's go ahead and take a look at the right side. We got 8 over 14. If you divide both those by 2, it takes us down to 4/7. Now, when you have x plus 3 on the bottom, or x plus or minus anything, you should put parentheses around it, just so you realize those two terms, they stay together. Now we're ready to go ahead and get the bottoms the same by multiplying the left side by 7 and the right side by x plus 3. Alright, bottoms are the same, so we can see what's on top and distribute it out, and go ahead and go minus 4x to both sides, and there's our answer. X equals 4. Alright, at the end of this problem, we're going to revisit the technical difficulties in the background. Alright, so this problem looks like one that we did before, but just realize when we get to the end there'll be a slight difference. So first step, got to get the bottoms the same, multiply the left and the right, left by x, right by 5. So that ends up being 4x equals 45. And there's the difference. You can't go 45 divided by 4 and get a whole number. And it's important to know that it's okay to have problems that don't come out evenly and you end up with fraction and decimals for your answer. So you can give the answer to me in 3 different ways: improper fraction, mixed number, or if you want to use a decimal. So in the classroom, my favorite marker is probably the black marker. But on this whiteboard, man, it's not working out so well. So this problem, we didn't use the black at all. So let's see how the erasing went. This was a brand new eraser at the beginning of this video. Let's do a new one, see how it works. Come on, eraser, do your job. It's not perfect, but I think that'll work. Now this problem offers a unique opportunity on the bottom left. So first off, before we start, let's put parentheses around that 2x plus 6. Now, one thing that can make this easier is if you realize you can divide 2x plus 6 by 2. So let's factor that out and see what happens. So now the left side just needs a 4, and the right side just needs the x plus 3. I went ahead and just started my distribution on the right side to get my 3x plus 9. And now when you go ahead and just minus 3x from both sides, you will go right to your answer. X equals 9. Alright, the last section of this video is going to be your practice problems. You have 5 practice problems. So what you want to do is, as soon as you see the problem, go ahead and pause the video, work it out on your scratch paper, and then hit play and see if you got the right answer. Now you may have arrived at the right answer a slightly different way than I did, but if you got the right answer, your way must have worked fine. In the future, you can just come back to just the practice section and see if you still remember everything that you hopefully learned in this video. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the sound and let you guys go ahead and do your practice problems.